Postman Pat and the Fraudulent Jam. Greetings and salutations. My name is Postman Pat, and this is my version of events in the epic jam saga, in which my sound understanding of the normal distribution enabled me to detect a batch of fraudulently labelled confitures. A busy day beckoned, and Zara buttered my toast with fire and enthusiasm. Sipping my steaming mug of Earl Grey, she presented me with a varied selection of conserves, damson, blackberry and apricot, to name but a few. She had won at the Greendale Village raffle in aid of the new orphanage. The day before had been a humbling experience. I had played the piano for the Greendale Justin Bieber Memorial Concert and taught some autistic children how to play acoustics. Today, however, I just had one delivery to make, a giant crate of jams and spreads for the Baines family who ran the local cafe. On arrival at the Baines cafe, it was, however, evident that not was all as it should be. "I have very grave news, Mr. Clifford," said Mrs. Nisha Baines. "We have reason to suspect that an employee at the jam factory has been tampering with the quantity of jam dispersed into each jar, such that the labelling is no longer a reliable indicator of the amount of jam one might anticipate being available from one jar." "That is a serious accusation," I pointed out, concerned that Mrs. Baines might not appreciate the significance of her outburst. But I fail to see how I can be of assistance. "Mr. Clifford," replied Mrs. Baines, as if it were not at all obvious that in a room of two people she must be addressing me, "your statistical aptitude is renowned throughout the whole of Greendale and Pencaster. Wherever there is a suspicion of numerical wrongdoing, you are the saviour we turn to." Well, how true. How could I refuse? And so it was that I found myself measuring the mass of jam in literally lots of jars. The label on each stated an expected average quantity of 340 grams, and a trawl through Google suggestions gave me a ballpark standard deviation of 5 grams. I scored the standard notation, X squiggle N 340, 5 squared, where the first number in the brackets is the mean and the second is the variance. Sticky and with a fruity odour, I stood back to admire my handiwork, grabbed my iPhone and selected the calculator utility. The jam in the first jar has a mass of 331 grams, so we take away the mean and divide by the standard deviation to get a Z value of minus 1.8. Then the probability that Z is less than minus 1.8 is 1 minus the probability that Z is less than the positive value of 1.8, or 0.9641, giving a final probability of 0.0359. Further calculations revealed a suspicious trend. As I continued, I noticed that some of the jars were different sizes, and the labels were getting stained with the fruity, sugary concoction from my fingers, making them difficult to read. One whole case of jars' masses had become obscured. My earlier travails online had specified a variance of 144 grams squared, and 96% of these jams were expected to have 475 grams or less of jam in them. I square-rooted the 144 to get a standard deviation of 12, and then I performed sums befitting of an expert in continuous probability distributions in search of an answer for the mean. For my final consignment, I was denied the knowledge of either the mean or the standard deviation. Frustrating as this was, it was never going to thwart my attempts to unravel the mystery. This jam had a probability of 2.5% of weighing less than 362.16 grams, and a probability of 5% of weighing more than 376.58 grams. I realised I could use the other, less commonly used table and simultaneous equations. I took my findings straight to A.J. Baines, Nisha's husband and man in charge of the Greendale rocket. We agreed that this was a matter for the police. One phone call to P.C. Selby and one to the jam factory proprietor later, and the three of us found ourselves pursuing and capturing the assailant in a nearby field. P.C. Selby joked that he would be taking the suspect into custody. Another adventure has ended for me, Postman Pat. my black and white cat Jess, and my encyclopedic knowledge of statistics.